Welcome friend, I'm so happy that you're here. I'm Agatha and today we are gathered here together because our girl Joann's is going under. Whether you live in the United States or not, it doesn't matter. You've probably heard all about it. There's been a lot of videos of people talking about this thing and doing liquidation sale hauls, and I am no different. I'm just gonna apologize on behalf of everyone else because we're just in a grieving moment, all right? This is a really big deal. It's a difficult moment, so please bear with us. So over the past few weeks, while I've been doing a lot of shopping at Joann's, holy crap, here's a little bit of the damage, and this is only for the stuff that I bought in person, not the stuff that I bought online. I did very consciously focus on only yarns that I could only find in Joann's. And I also really tried to focus on yarns either because the fabric composition is really good and they're gonna work really well to make a garment, or if they were in a colorway that I feel really embodies Joann's brand and how joyful it is and how creative they've always been, or they have been at least for the last few years, with their combination of colors and experimentation with colors. And obviously I'm not gonna buy a bunch of yarn just to keep in storage. I have been putting a lot of thought on what projects can I make with these yarns? And you are probably going through the same process if you clicked on this video. Seriously, I'm starting to realize that I think that I like browsing Ravelry for patterns probably the same way as a lot of people like to make boards on Pinterest. So if that means anything to you, hopefully that can give you a little bit of an insight on really just how much fun I had making this list. But also, I am really bad at actually committing to patterns if I make those plans too far in advance. So I'm not 100% committing to any one pattern, but I do feel pretty certain that the general category of pattern that I've assigned to each yarn, I'm pretty sure that I'm gonna stick to them. Or at least I hope so. So, having said all that, let's get right into it. In the very beginning, I think this was the 20th of January or around that time, we heard that Joann's was going through a second bankruptcy. The first thing that I did was to go on their app and order one of their brand new yarns. This is the Big Twist Jelly Bean in the colorway Rainbow Candy. It's an Aran weight yarn. It is mostly acrylic, and I got 6 skeins of it. Actually, I purchased 7, but I got 6. So whatever. I think that this is just such a bright, joyful color, and I wanted to buy a baby blanket amount of yarn for it. Just the thought of a baby coming into my life, and for me to not have yarn from Joann's to make them a baby blanket with is genuinely a really sad thought. So the care instructions for this yarn is machine washable but dry flat. I was thinking that I wanted to focus on baby blanket patterns that didn't have any bulky features to it like cables or anything like that. So for crochet, I am considering this filet crochet pattern called the Filet Heart Baby Blanket by Kim Hopper. It's $5, and it was my favorite of all of the other ones that I saw because hers was the only one that I saw, and I spent a lot of time looking, okay? It was the only one that arranged the hearts in this way. Now for a knitting pattern, I was really gravitating towards the Olive Blanket by Pernille Larsen. However, the pattern just seemed a little too busy for this yarn. I landed on this Garntopia by Indistic Design. It is about $6. The way that the leaves still look like hearts is what sold me on this design. It's really adorable. So that was all that I bought up until when we learned that 500 stores were going to be going into liquidation, but there was still no indication at all that the remaining 300 stores were going to close. If anything, I think that we were all still very hopeful that that was going to allow them to stay alive. And I didn't go to any of those stores. It was just way too sad. But I did end up going to one of the 2 remaining stores. Again, like I mentioned, there was no indication that they were going to close, so I wasn't going in with the intention of a haul or anything like that. But I did walk out of there with 2 yarns that are new to me. The first one is the K&C Organic Cotton in black. It's very similar to the K&C Essential Cotton, but it is a lot softer. And they only had 3 skeins, so I got them all. But 3 skeins is not actually that much, especially for someone of my size, to make a garment out of. But I did remember that a couple of months or so ago, I came across this one profile account of someone that goes by Queen Shabu on Ravelry, and she has such a cute, awesome, kind of gothy style that I fell in love with. And there was one in specific that I just can't get out of my head. It is like a harnessy type of cover, and the pattern that she used is the Chained Element by Renaissance Austin. It's about $8. For some reason, the designer split up the pattern by sizes. So there is a Chained Element size small, a Chained Element size medium, and then another one sized large. If I think I would buy the large. I spent $8 on it, and it turns out to be way too big for me. Then I would have to pay $8 again to get the medium. And I don't really want to do that. So that is what my one gripe with this pattern, but it was released in 2014. So it just is what it is. I still definitely want to make that pattern, but I just need to work up the courage, just pick a size and stick to it. But I was also thinking that I could get away with making a Look at My Holes top by James N. Watts. It is $8, and I'm pretty sure that James Watts's patterns are all size inclusive. It's just about time that I make one, so I really should. But eventually, I was able to snag 5 more skeins of this organic cotton yarn in the colorway khaki. At this point, I should have enough yarn to make a proper top out of it. And I can't stop thinking that I really, really, really want a striped top. And the best pattern that I was able to find, I'm very excited about it, is the Ship Shape by Heidi Kermeyer. It is $8.50 and it comes in 13 sizes. I mean, just look at the shoulder gussets. I also found 4 skeins of this K&C Cloudpaca yarn. I am in love with this yarn. It is just the perfect combination of fluffy and airy and whimsical while still being very easy to work with and very easy to frog. So if you are maybe still hunting for yarn and you manage to find this yarn, 100% get it. It is so freaking worth it. And it's kind of messed up that in 2024, my favorite yarn was K&C's hand-dyed cotton. And this year, my favorite yarn is going to be the K&C Cloudpaca. And now K&C is going away. Life is so unfair, you guys. But anyway, so this is a little hard to show, but this is the Maya Bluse by Tanja Koenigs. It is, I'm pretty sure, about $8, and it's seriously such a great pattern. I'm gonna be wearing it so that the keyhole that is supposed to go at the front, I'm actually gonna be wearing it on the back. I also recently came up with an idea for a modification to this pattern, and I am just so excited about it that I need to share it with someone. And you are that someone. I came across this pattern called The Villa by Marcena. Oh my god, I looked up the pronunciation for this. It's Kowalczyk? And the frills on the cuffs. I mean, the frills! It is very different from my usual style, but I can't stop thinking about the ruffles on the cuffs, okay? So, what I'm thinking, I'm gonna add ruffles to the sleeves of my Maya blusa. And, you know, if later on I decide I don't actually like it, I can always just undo it, it's not a problem. Especially considering that even though in this trip to Joann's that I'm talking about right now, I only found 4 skeins of it, later on I did find 2 more. So I have 6 skeins of the Cloudpaca. So yeah, if I don't like the frills, I can just undo it, it'll be fine. But that is where my mind is kind of going with this project. Moving on, I was originally planning on making one of Tanja's other patterns. She released one that's brand new. It's called Ava 5, the Ava 5 cardigan. It's about $9 also, but unfortunately, the reason why I didn't go with the Ava 5 cardigan is because it's so new that she only has it available in German. However, she does have a comment on the pattern saying that English translation will be coming soon. So if you love this cardigan as much as I do, with its beautiful detail on the back, and you don't speak German, then keep an eye on it because hopefully she will be releasing that translation soon for a crochet alternative. Especially if you only run into 1 or 2 skeins of this yarn, I'm thinking that the Adina cardigan by Mrs. Moon in Heaven, Jada, would look so good in this yarn. Her pattern is $8.50 and it goes from sizes extra small through 5XL. In her samples, she only ever made this top using cotton yarn, but I have a vision, okay? Envision it with me. This top with a mohairy, fluffy yarn would look so adorable. Also, I almost forgot to talk about this. I think that I was watching one of Blondie Knot's several videos, and there was one where she's very pretty, right? But there was this one video where she just looked so extra pretty with like her wavy hair, and then she was wearing a sweater where just like off the shoulders and the sleeves were just kind of flowing around her arms. And I can't get that image out of my head. I think that having a sleeves situation made with this yarn and then you can just wear it where it's just like off the shoulders would look so incredible. So I came up with 2 patterns that I think could work out with this yarn. The first one is the Tilda Shrug. It's by Rachel Misner. You might know her better by her tag Evelyn and Peter. I'm almost sad that I don't have more Cloudpaca so I could give this pattern a try with this yarn. It's just so pretty. The other one that I was considering is for knitting, the Empress, a reversible bolero by Kendry Cass. Look at that bow. Just look at that bow. It is so beautiful. Please, if you find this yarn, or if you have a lot of mohair lying around that you just want to use up, maybe hold it together 4 times and make one of these shrugs, because I really need to know how does it work out. They just look so beautiful. Alright, so that is all that I bought on that trip. And we are now in the point of time where it is the last week of February. It has come crystal clear that the remaining 300 stores of Joann's will in fact close, and Joann's is gonna go away forever. The Wednesday of that last week of February, I went to the only Joann's in my entire metro area that I think I had visited only once. There were only like 2 people cutting fabric and only 3 people on the registers. We stood in line genuinely for probably 45 minutes. I bought a lot of yarn. That is genuinely the biggest haul of yarn that I've ever done, and I probably ever will do. Yeah, I bought a lot of yarn, and everyone there was with the same mentality. Everyone was having their little carts just overflow with the things that they were buying. So, in this trip, I obviously bought Big Twist Value and Value Pound Plus, because duh, that is the quintessential Joann's yarn. So I got 1 skein of Pound Plus in black. That was the only Pound Plus color that they had. I bought 6 skeins of Big Twist Value in the colorway Warm Brights. I bought 4 skeins in the colorway Varsity Gold. I got 3 skeins in dark teal, 3 skeins in sage, and I also got 5 skeins in the colorway Slime. And I almost didn't get this yarn, but honestly, the color is so close to the Joann's brand green. I had to get the Slime. So that means that I bought 21 skeins of Big Twist Value. So yeah, I'm going to need ideas for projects that are yarn eaters. But in the meantime, what better project to plan for this yarn than more blankets? For crochet, a few months ago, I don't know how, but I came across this one project by someone that goes by Keen, and I don't know why I love this project so freaking much, but I really, really do. I'm also considering a brand new pattern, or new to Ravelry pattern, that's called Doodles of Daisies by Maggie Trunkill. It's $5, and it technically calls for sport weight yarn, but I mean, it's a blanket, so it's gonna be fine. If you've been to my channel before, you might already know that even though I do genuinely really enjoy making granny squares, I am the absolute worst at actually putting them together. So if you have any join as you go methods that you swear by, then please let me know, because I'm gonna need them. For a knitting pattern, the first one is the Tonal Blanket by Pearl Soho, which is free. This pattern is basically made for all of these yarns that I bought, because it calls for 10 skeins of a main color and 1 skein of 5 contrast colors. And it just looks so squishy and elegant. I just love it so much, and I think that it's gonna be perfect. Then I also came across this Sunflower Blanket by Knit Sew Make. It is about $6, and maybe it's just because I bought 4 skeins of the Varsity Gold, which is a very bright yellow, or maybe it's because it's almost spring, but the thought of having a very just spring-like sunflower blanket sounds so good right now. So yeah, that is a lot of yarn. That is the one trip where this receipt came out. The other yarn that I bought is Big Twist Vortex. I was really debating whether to take it or not, and there was one girl who was standing right next to me, and she was the one who enabled me to get it. Like, girl, Joann's is going away. Just get the yarn. I'm genuinely so happy that I listened to her, because I would be heartbroken if I didn't buy this yarn. It is so beautiful. It's so soft, so squishy. The colors, incredible, fantastic. So I got 4 skeins of it, one of it in Neon Rainforest, one in Bird of Paradise, one in Super Blue, and one skein, which might be my favorite, even though they're all my favorite, but this might be my most favorite, is Mountain Mist. It just looks like gritty sand. It's just everything. This yarn has everything. Out of everything that I bought, all of the yarns that I'm going to talk about in this video, the Big Twist Vortex is my absolute favorite. And I know for sure that I am going to make project bags out of this yarn. I wanted to make extra sure that they would allow for the colors to really come through. The crochet one that I picked, I think, is really close to what I was envisioning. This is the Summer Slice Drawstring Bag by Kathy Olivares. It is $5 and it's also available for free in the Clover's website. And for knitting, I'm really vibing with the Honey Bucket Bag by Petite Knit. It's $8, but there's a reason why Petite Knit is literally the most popular designer out there. She does put out really good patterns, and she actually has a bunch of different bag and pouch patterns available from a few years ago, so I am generally looking forward to making this one. The last yarn that I got in this Joann's trip was this yarn that I didn't even know existed. It is the Lucky Brand Wool Cotton Solid. It is 50% cotton, 50% merino superwash merino wool. I managed to snag 2 skeins in blue coral, 3 skeins in dark black, and 4 in purple velvet. And this yarn can't be anything if not a sweater, obviously. And I figured that it would be really fun to go on Lucky Brand's website and try to not recreate one of the sweaters, but to make something that went along with the Lucky Brand brand. I figured that the sweaters that they have for sale fall in one of 2 categories. They either have kind of like a boho, hippie, youthful vibe to them, which I think that the Ripple Crew by What Morgan Makes would be perfect. This pattern is a little pricey at $11, but I do think that we need to give them credit, because even though the sweater is that ripple stitch, they somehow managed to get the collar ribbing to fit or to sit perfectly nice. But it's also a size inclusive pattern, and the reviews are really good. So it looks like it's worth the $11. I guess we'll find out. The other kind of bucket that the Lucky Brand sweaters fall into is this polo shirt, kind of masculine type of sweater. And I found this pattern, the Tahoe by Deborah Newton. I think that this represents that type of style so freaking well. This pattern is $6, and the collar and the back details are just phenomenal. I don't have enough yarn to make the entire sweater in a single color, but I'm thinking that I could make the body in purple and the back panel and collar in black. That would look so good. It's just perfection. So now we are a few days after that haul, and I did buy a little more yarn. But I also bought some enamel pins and patches. But yeah, along with that, I was also gonna get 6 skeins of Big Twist Flourish in their colorway Bright Rainbow Stripe. But the enamel pins and patches got shipped out. The yarn was still showing as processing for several days. And when I would go to look at the yarn, this specific colorway would show as out of stock. So I was pretty sure that the yarn was gonna get canceled. So I bought 6 more skeins of the colorway Ski Lodge Pastels Stripe. Again, fully expecting for my first order to eventually get canceled. But I did eventually get both orders. And in perfect Joann's fashion of the Ski Lodge Pastels Stripe yarn, I only got 5. I didn't get 6. But that ends up meaning that I now have 11 skeins of this yarn, which is just too much. It's too much. I didn't want to have 11 skeins of this. It just ended up working out that way. But in any case, for a knitted pattern, I figured that I really want to make something that's actually going to be wall decor. Just something that I can put on the wall, and every time I look at it, I'll think of Joann's. And it's just going to be something that also, because the yarn is so colorful, can bring a lot of joy and cheerfulness into my space. I figured that wreaths are not just for Christmas. You can make wreaths for any season. And I landed on this pattern called the Christmas Wreath by Annika Asp. It is available for free. It's not cabled, it's braided. I think that will really allow for these colors to shine through, but also obviously one wreath is not enough to use up the 11 skeins that I have. So I do have a plan in mind for my crochet project. So basically, there is a reason why my office chair, I always have it covered with a blanket. I purchased secondhand at a Goodwill in 2021. It was $30 and it was like new. The issue with this office chair is that it is made of fake leather, and fake leather always peels eventually. It is peeling really, really badly, and this is a moment of truth. This is a no judgment zone. I will show you my chair so that you can understand the gravity of the situation, okay? So, no judgment zone. Okay, you ready? Yeah, I think you can see it. I mean, come on. Come on, look at that. It's so ugly. And it's also peeling on the armrests. It's not good. What I'm thinking of making with this Big Twist Flourish yarn is a chair cover. And obviously this is not something that I have a pattern for, but I was able to find one video on YouTube of someone who did something that looks very, very similar to what I already had in mind. The short is by Realm.Designs, and I'm fully expecting that 11 skeins is still gonna be way too much, but whatever, it is what it is. I love Joann's, I love their brand, I'm gonna miss them so much, so I'm just gonna decide to not complain and make the most of it. That was the very last pattern that I had for you today. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I had so much fun putting this list together, and I hope that you had a lot of fun going through it with me also. If you have any particular type of list bundle idea that you would like for me to put something together for, let me know. I would love to do it. I love making these bundles so freaking much. And please let me know if you bought Joann's yarns. Which ones did you buy? What are you planning to make with them? I think that we can all benefit from more ideas because I have now enough yarn to probably last me 10 years. I'm not exaggerating. So yeah, we're gonna need all the help that we can get. Thank you so much, you guys, again for sticking to the end of the video. I appreciate it so much. If you like this video, please consider liking and subscribing. But in any case, I hope that I will see you again in the next video. Hasta la próxima. Ciao!